"You're nothing but a burden," he spat, voice dripping with venom. "A drain on my life. Always asking for help. Always in the way. I don't know why Dad ever bothered." The words hit me like shards of glass. A son's harsh words ignite. A mysterious disappearance, leading him on a gripping journey through hidden family secrets that change everything he thought he knew. But before we start the video, let us know where you're watching this video. And if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe, Story Storer, and please share your thoughts about this story in comment section. The front door slammed so hard it shook. The walls. Daniel stormed in, his face twisted with fury, eyes burning like wildfire. Claire sat frozen on the couch, stunned, silent, her hand clutching the armrest as if holding herself together. I stood in the kitchen doorway, my chest tight with dread. Daniel's gaze landed on me, sharp, unforgiving. "You're nothing but a burden," he spat, voice dripping with venom. "A drain on my life. Always asking for help. Always in the way. I don't know why Dad ever bothered." The words hit me like shards of glass. His wife gasped softly, the silence in the room thick and unbearable. "You expect me to watch you waste away here? I have a life now, Claire. I can't be stuck babysitting you forever," Daniel continued, eyes flashing with anger and frustration. "You're a weight around my neck, Mom. I'm ashamed to have you here." I wanted to shout, to tell him how wrong he was, how much love I poured into every sacrifice. But instead, my voice cracked softly. "Maybe I am a burden." Tears welled in my eyes, but I blinked them away. Claire's face was pale, full of helpless disbelief. Daniel's harsh words echoed in the silence that followed, each one sinking deeper. That night, while the house slept, I sat by the flickering lamp, pouring my soul into a letter. Years of love, hurt, secrets, all spilled onto the page. Then, before dawn broke, I packed a small bag, taped the letter carefully to my will, and slipped away, leaving behind a silence louder than any argument. Daniel sat on the edge of the old armchair, the letter trembling in his hands. The words his mother had written felt like a puzzle, each sentence hiding more questions than answers. Why had she called herself a burden? What secret was she protecting? Memories he had buried deep stirred. His mother's quiet sadness, the nights she disappeared for hours, the way she avoided his eyes. He realized he barely knew her. The letter mentioned a name Daniel had never heard before. James. Who was he? And why did his mother write about him as if he held the key to everything? Unable to let go, Daniel climbed the stairs to the attic, the place she had always avoided. Dust swirled in the dim light as he found an old locked box tucked behind forgotten trunks. His fingers trembled as he used the small key taped to the letter to open it. Inside lay a leather-bound journal, faded photographs, and a bundle of letters tied with a ribbon. The journal's pages revealed a young woman's voice, his mother's, conflicted and scared. She wrote of love, loss, and a secret she vowed never to share. Daniel's mind raced. How much of her story had she hidden? And what had driven her to leave without a word? The more he uncovered, the deeper he fell into a mystery that threatened to rewrite everything he believed about his family and himself. Daniel's heart pounded as he pushed open the attic door. Dust hung thick in the air, and old boxes and forgotten memories crowded the space. The small key, taped to his mother's letter, felt heavy in his hand. He found the box quickly. It was hidden beneath a stack of faded blankets. The lock clicked open with a soft snap, revealing carefully preserved treasures inside. A leather-bound journal lay on top, its pages yellowed but intact. Next to it were black and white photographs, some of a young woman who looked eerily like his mother, but younger, full of hope and fear at the same time. Another photo showed a man Daniel didn't recognize, smiling gently beside her. He opened the journal, his eyes scanning the neat handwriting. The words were raw and filled with emotion. His mother had written about a man named James, a love from her past, tangled in secrets and sacrifices. One entry mentioned a promise made long ago, a choice she had been forced to make for his sake. Daniel's mind swirled with questions. Why hadn't she told him any of this? What had she been hiding? And why? With each page, the woman he thought he knew became a stranger. The attic held answers, but also the beginning of a journey Daniel never expected. A journey that would change everything. Daniel was still clutching the journal when an unexpected knock broke the silence. He hesitated, heart racing, before opening the door. A man stood there, tall, with gray-streaked hair and kind but tired eyes. "I'm Michael," he said softly. "I knew your mother. I'm her brother." Daniel's breath caught. He hadn't expected anyone else connected to this story. Michael stepped inside and looked around the room with a sad smile. "Evelyn, your mother, disappeared for a reason. She wasn't running away from you. She was protecting you." Daniel frowned, skepticism twisting inside him. "Protecting me? From what?" Michael took a deep breath. "There's more to your family's past than you know. Secrets that could have put you in danger. Evelyn made a choice to keep you safe, even if it meant leaving without a word." He handed Daniel an old envelope sealed with wax, the handwriting matching the letter Daniel found earlier. "This was meant for you when the time was right," Michael explained. As Daniel carefully broke the seal, a mix of fear and hope settled in his chest. The letter promised to reveal truths that would change everything. Truths that Daniel had no idea he was ready to face. Suddenly, the quiet house felt charged with anticipation. The past was no longer buried, and Daniel was about to uncover what his mother had sacrificed for him all those years ago. Daniel carefully unfolded the sealed letter Michael had given him. The paper was fragile, yellowed at the edges, but the handwriting was unmistakably his mother's, delicate yet determined. The letter spoke of a secret pact, something that had been kept hidden for generations. Evelyn wrote about a family, one Daniel had never heard of, who had vowed to protect their bloodline at all costs. Their loyalty wasn't just about family pride, it was about survival. She explained that years ago, a dangerous feud had begun between two powerful families. Evelyn's family had been caught in the middle. To keep Daniel safe, she had made the heartbreaking decision to leave, breaking their lives apart. The letter hinted at a hidden truth about Daniel's father, something neither of them had ever dared to speak about. It mentioned the promise Evelyn's father had made to protect Daniel no matter what. Daniel's head swirled. Why had no one ever told him? Why had his mother carried this weight alone? The letter ended with a plea for Daniel to be strong, to seek out the truth, but to be careful whom he trusted. Michael watched Daniel closely, as if waiting for him to say something. Instead, Daniel folded the letter slowly, feeling the weight of his mother's sacrifice settle deep inside him. The mystery wasn't just about the past, it was a challenge to his future. Daniel sat quietly, staring at an old, faded photograph he had found in the box. It showed a younger Evelyn, radiant and hopeful, standing beside a man he didn't recognize. The name Robert was scrawled on the back. In his mother's journal, he discovered a passage about Robert, a man who, had been part of Evelyn's life before Daniel was born. Their relationship was complicated, filled with love and heartbreak, and tangled in the secrets she had carried all these years. The journal revealed a promise Robert had made to Evelyn's father, to protect the child she was carrying, no matter the cost. That child was Daniel. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The burden she'd spoken of wasn't about her needs, but about the sacrifices she'd made to keep Daniel safe. Daniel realized that his mother had borne the weight of an invisible threat, shielding him silently while he had only seen her as a difficult presence in his life. For the first time, he felt a deep, aching guilt. He had misunderstood her pain and misread her silence. But there were still questions. Who was threatening them? Why had Evelyn disappeared without a word? Daniel knew his journey was far from over. The promise his mother had kept was now his to understand and to honor. Determined to find answers, Daniel packed a bag and set out for the small town his mother had mentioned in her letters, the place where Evelyn had grown up. The streets were narrow and quiet, lined with old brick buildings and whispering secrets of the past. Daniel visited the local library, searching through dusty archives for any trace of Evelyn or the family feud. The librarian, a kindly elderly woman named Mrs. Whitmore, noticed his interest and offered to help. "You're looking for Evelyn, aren't you?" she asked gently. Daniel nodded, surprised. "How do you know?" Mrs. Whitmore smiled sadly. She was a brave woman. Left this town to protect her family, but never really left our hearts. With her guidance, Daniel uncovered old newspaper clippings about a long-standing dispute between two powerful families, the Ryans and the Caldwells. Evelyn's family was caught in the middle, trying to keep peace while hidden dangers grew. Daniel felt the weight of history pressing down on him. Every clue deepened the mystery. Who had threatened his mother? What had she sacrificed? And why had the feud lasted so long? That night, Daniel stayed in a small inn, clutching the journal close. The past was coming alive, pulling him deeper into a story much larger than himself. He was no longer just a son hurt by harsh words. He was part of a legacy filled with love, danger, and secrets waiting to be uncovered. Back at home, Daniel's mind was swirling with questions, but he wasn't ready to face them alone. To his surprise, Claire, his wife, offered something unexpected, a family secret of her own. One evening, as they sat in the dim living room, Claire hesitated before speaking. "There's something I've never told you," she admitted, her voice quiet but steady. "My grandmother was friends with Evelyn. She knew more about your mother's past than anyone." Daniel's eyes widened. Could Claire really be the key to unlocking more of this mystery? Claire handed him a faded photograph. Two women standing side by side, smiling, but their eyes held stories untold. "My grandmother said Evelyn was brave, but she was also afraid. She believed some people wanted to keep her silent." Together, they began piecing together the puzzle. Claire shared old letters and memories passed down through her family. Slowly, their two worlds merged, revealing connections Daniel never imagined. This new alliance sparked hope. With Claire's insight and Daniel's discoveries, they had a better chance at uncovering the full truth behind Evelyn's disappearance. But with every answer, more questions surfaced. Who were the people trying to silence Evelyn? And what dangers still lingered, waiting in the shadows? Daniel realized that finding his mother wasn't just about healing their broken family. It was about facing a past tangled with secrets and threats neither he nor Claire could ignore. The pieces of the puzzle were finally coming together, but the truth hit Daniel harder than he expected. Evelyn hadn't left because she wanted to abandon her family. She had vanished to protect them from a threat tied to a bitter feud between the Ryans and the Caldwells. That feud wasn't just about pride or money. It was about something far darker, a secret invention. Robert, Evelyn's love, had created that could change everything. Daniel learned that Robert had been an inventor working on a technology powerful enough to disrupt industries and governments. Both families wanted control, and Evelyn's family had been caught in the middle. Evelyn's choice was clear. She left to keep Daniel safe from those who would harm him to get to Robert's invention. The burden she spoke of was the weight of protection, the constant fear she lived with every day. Daniel's anger melted into a painful understanding. His mother's silence, her absence, had been her shield, not rejection. Claire held his hand as he read the final words of Evelyn's letter. "You are not a burden. You are my greatest hope." The revelation left Daniel breathless. The family feud, the threats, they weren't just stories. They were real, and they were still out there. Now, Daniel knew his journey wasn't over. He had to face the past, protect his family, and finally, forgive. Daniel and Claire returned home with heavy hearts. The past wasn't just a distant memory anymore. It was a living shadow creeping closer. That evening, as Daniel sorted through his mother's belongings, a sharp noise startled him. Someone was outside the house. He peered through the window, but the street was empty. Unease settled in. The threats Evelyn had feared might still be real. The next day, a mysterious envelope arrived. No return address, just Daniel's name. Inside was a single photograph of Robert's old workshop, torn and burned at the edges. On the back, a chilling message: "Stop digging, or you'll lose everything." Daniel's pulse quickened. The past was not done with him yet. Claire stood beside him, steady and strong. "We can't back down now. Whatever they want, we have to face it. Together." Determined, Daniel decided to visit Robert's workshop, the heart of the secret. Maybe there he could find clues to end the long feud and finally protect his family. As night fell, Daniel stared at the dark horizon, knowing danger lurked. But he also felt a strange sense of purpose. His mother's fight was now his own. The shadows of the past were closing in, but Daniel wasn't alone anymore, and he was ready to confront whatever came next. The old workshop stood at the edge of town, a crumbling relic surrounded by overgrown weeds. Daniel's footsteps echoed as he pushed open the heavy wooden door, the air thick with dust and memories. Inside, faded blueprints and scattered tools told stories of Robert's brilliance. Daniel's eyes caught a locked metal box, hidden beneath a dusty tarp. His heart raced as he fumbled with the key he'd found taped to his mother's letter. The box creaked open, revealing a small, intricate device, Robert's invention. Alongside it was a folded letter addressed to Daniel. With trembling hands, Daniel unfolded the letter. Robert had written about the invention's power to change lives, but warned it must never fall into the wrong hands. He trusted Evelyn to protect it, and now he trusted Daniel. Suddenly, footsteps approached. Daniel spun around to see Michael, standing in the doorway, his expression grave but calm. "You're closer than you realize," Michael said. "This device is the key to ending the feud. But others want it too. You have to be careful." Daniel's mind swirled with the weight of responsibility. This wasn't just about family anymore. It was about legacy, trust, and survival. Michael's words stayed with him as he left the workshop, the device safely tucked away. Outside, the evening sky darkened. shadows creeping closer. Daniel knew the real test was just beginning. But with Claire and Michael by his side, he felt ready to face whatever threats awaited. The burden was heavy, but so was the hope. Back, home. Daniel placed the letter and the invention carefully on the table. The weight of everything his mother had sacrificed settled heavily in his chest. Claire watched him quietly, her eyes filled with understanding. She never wanted to be a burden, she said softly. She fought for you in ways you couldn't see. Days later, Michael arrived with news. The dangerous feud was finally ending, thanks to Daniel's courage and the truth brought to light. The families had agreed to peace. But Daniel knew the hardest part was still ahead. He needed to face his mother, to forgive her, and to ask for forgiveness himself. One morning, he found a small envelope taped to the will, the same place where the letter had been. Inside was a note in Evelyn's handwriting. "My dear Daniel, if you're reading this, it means you've found the truth. I am sorry for the pain my silence caused. I carried the burden to protect you because I loved you more than anything. Please forgive me and live without fear. Your mother. Always." Tears blurred Daniel's vision. The burden he had once felt from her words was replaced by a deep, healing love. He finally understood that sometimes the hardest journeys bring the greatest peace. As the sun rose, Daniel felt hope. Hope for new beginnings, forgiveness, and the family he was ready to rebuild.